This is IGN. Spider-Man Brand New Day is projected to have the biggest opening of 2026. Welcome to your IGN Daily Update. But first, after 15 years, Resident Evil 5 is no longer the highest-selling entry in Capcom's survival horror series, the publisher has revealed. New sales figures for the Resident Evil franchise show its sales crown has now been taken by the Resident Evil 2 remake, which has now shifted 19.75 million copies, enough to slip past Resident Evil 5's final total of 19.01 million. These totals are interesting for several reasons. Firstly, the fact that Resident Evil 5's sales have taken a decade and a half to topple says a lot about the huge excitement for that game when it initially arrived, riding on the coattails of the beloved original Resident Evil 4, despite ultimately being judged as nowhere near as good. Secondly, these totals show that the Resident Evil series' back catalog continues to sell really well. Capcom's Resident Evil 2 remake launched back in 2019 and is clearly still shifting copies, and has likely benefited from the subsequent launches of other Leon S. Kennedy starring titles, such as the Resident Evil 4 remake and Resident Evil Requiem. Speaking of the Resident Evil 4 remake and Requiem, you might wonder where their sales are in all of this. Well, they are still selling brilliantly too, and may yet both eclipse Resident Evil 2 to become the franchise's top sellers, given enough time. Resident Evil Requiem has now sold 8 million copies, a figure that will undoubtedly rise far further as the game gets discounted over time and receives its highly anticipated post-launch expansion. Resident Evil 4's remake, meanwhile, is now on an impressive 16 million copies sold. All combined, the Resident Evil franchise has now sold a combined 213 million copies across all of its games, a figure which sees it edge past the 212 million total sales of Square Enix's Final Fantasy franchise, although these have not yet been updated for this financial quarter. Spider-Man Brand New Day is on track to absolutely obliterate the box office this weekend. Various box office analysts have begun to release their projections for Spider-Man Brand New Day's opening weekend at the box office, and in case there was any doubt, it's going to make heaps of money. Just 2 weeks after Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey set a high bar for a movie starring Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Jon Bernthal, Spider-Man Brand New Day is expected to clear that bar with ease. On the lower end of box office projections, Deadline estimates the film will make a whopping $180 to $190 million domestically on opening weekend. This would blow past Toy Story 5's $159 million domestic opening with ease, and make Spidey the biggest opening of the year so far. Deadline noted that The Odyssey's continued legs and exclusive ownership of IMAX screens could put a dent in its potential earnings, but it'll still dominate regardless thanks to other premium large-format screens such as Dolby. Box Office Pro, on the other hand, is projecting that Brand New Day will bring in $230 to $250 million during its domestic opening weekend. This would be the second biggest opening in Spider-Man's cinematic history, with No Way Home holding the record at $260 million domestically. Another projection from a Twitter account known as Global Box Office estimates that globally, the film could amass $800 million in its opening weekend, thanks to a massive international haul. That would make it the second biggest opening in history behind Avengers Endgame, which pulled in a jaw-dropping $1.2 billion in its opening weekend. That may be a stretch given the absurd buildup and unprecedented success of Avengers Endgame, but if any character could come close, it would be Spider-Man. Regardless of where it lands, it certainly looks like Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to help extend a massively successful summer for theaters and set a record for the year. It's unlikely any other film is going to match the commercial success of Spider-Man until Avengers Doomsday, and even then, the popularity of a standalone Spider-Man adventure may outmatch the hype for a new Avengers film in 2026. That's your IGN Daily Update. My name is Tony Jackson, and if you want more news on your favorite games and entertainment topics, make sure to visit us at IGN.com. You can also download our free app on your phone or console and subscribe to our weekly podcasts through the podcast service of your choice.
Spoken Layer.